Nepal, most famous for its Himalayan peaks, is a country of great diversity which lies wedged between India and China. Cut off from the outside world until the 1950s, the people have for centuries demonstrated remarkable skills and resourcefulness in winning a living from the land. But population and ecological pressures make this ever more precarious. Indeed, harsh conditions make Nepal one of the world's poorest countries, and inaccessibility places severe constraints on efforts to reach out to the children of Nepal. Life in Nepal begins early in the morning. It begins with a heavy workload which requires continuous manual labor throughout the duration of the day. In the division of labor, the major load falls upon the woman. She serves not only as household manager but also as the main workforce, and she of course also has her traditional responsibilities as primary nurturer to fulfill. She must spend at least a minimum average of 11 hours a day just to maintain the family's subsistence level, and the number of working hours increases every year. As deforestation continues, she must walk further to cut and collect fuel and fodder each day. Routine demands leave her with very little time to care properly for the children. Many of the children of this nation suffer a gross deprivation of their most basic needs, and 1 out of 6 die before the age of 5. 2/3 of the children under 5 are undernourished, and cases of severe malnutrition are common. While mothers are preoccupied, young children are commonly left alone, often with inadequate clothing, lacking any creative stimulation beyond rocks and mud, and vulnerable to accidents and infections. In other cases, they may be left in the care of an older sister who is then in turn deprived of the opportunity of receiving education and direction herself. When there is neither a helper nor a safe environment in which to place the child, the mother must seek alternatives which can be desperate recourses. Fearful that her child might fall off one of the steep terraces surrounding her home, Sri Maya has tied up her child so that she can afford the 2 hours she needs to walk to a village's nearest water source and back. The prevalence of such problems is evident throughout Nepal. Diseases derived from contaminated water affect almost everyone in Nepal. Diarrhea is prevalent, and nearly half the deaths of children under the age of 5 are accounted for by diarrheal diseases. Reducing the time women have to spend in water collection and providing a clean supply would do much to reduce the burden on women. The basic necessity to be free to complete one's own chores without the fear of jeopardizing a child's life is deeply felt. Sometimes children are left with slightly older siblings who are too young themselves to provide proper care. A child's need for a mother is self-evident. The turning point for Sri Maya was the day her child met with an accident. Every year, thousands of children die or become needlessly disabled through falls, drownings, cuts, and burns. In such situations, programs aimed at improving the lives of children must have a strong orientation towards health, nutrition, sanitation, and parental education, as well as an important psychosocial component. In response to these needs, Setu Guras National Child Development Services, with the support of UNICEF, has designed a program called Entry Point to Development. This is an approach which begins in the village home, concentrating on the mother because of her central role in the family. In Sri Maya's village, the program has already been implemented in cooperation with the Women Development Section of His Majesty's government. Here, Sri Maya's neighbor, aware of the difficulties she is facing, comes to talk to her about the benefits of the program. The neighbor belongs to an existing group who have already received the practical 4-day home-based training. She invites her to meet the others and hear more about the rewards they are experiencing. Working together to deal with common concerns has been important in the woman's self-development. As the members have gained self-confidence in their new roles as teachers, they have begun to assume more leadership in their community. They have also become involved in additional community development and credit activities. The group invites Sri Maya to join them and begin the process of transferring their new skills to her. Here, for example, they are teaching her the life-saving formula for preparing oral rehydration solution in order to prevent dehydration in children with diarrhea. Today is the first day her children will join in the group and Sri Maya gets them ready. She drops them off and goes to work, knowing that her children are enjoying quality child care. Happy in this secure environment, her son plays with new toys. Sri Maya is now freed from a tension she has felt since their birth. She has more time available to her and is able to work more productively, while her children learn through play. The interface between the needs of women and the needs of children is clear. More time is also available for new possibilities, including income generation activities such as this mat weaving. Other doors are also opened, for example, adult literacy classes, important with the female literacy rate standing at only 18%. Sri Maya's turn arrives. She leads the children in a variety of games which encourage their overall mental and physical development. Women from neighboring groups come together to share ideas. In addition, those who have experienced beneficial changes are moved to encourage others further afield to start similar programs. The success of the program expands its scope, and word of mouth ensures its spread, woman to woman, group to group, village to village. Here Sri Maya recounts her previous situation where she had to leave her child alone. She describes how it used to upset her to come home to find her son crawling round and round the pole playing with dirt. She contrasts this to her current relatively eased situation. This woman also describes how although for the first few weeks it seemed quite hard work establishing the program, it soon became a tremendous help. In turn, Purnamaya speaks to everyone of how difficult things normally are. Here she says, these days it is difficult for children and it is not easy for old people. Nothing is easy. But this program is important, for we have seen that things can change. She relates another advantage she has experienced, a child care center for older children who have outgrown the home-based curriculum. These centers aim to provide for basic nutrition, health and education needs of underprivileged children. The program for 3 to 6-year-olds provides a more structured daily schedule for the children, establishes a school-going habit, and enables them to make good use of the education they will receive at school. The disturbing 25% repetition rate in grade 1, combined with the fact that almost 40% drop out before they complete their first year at school, points to the urgent need for preparation of children for entry into the formal school system. Moreover, at present, only 30% of girls of primary school age are enrolled in school. Girls' participation in early childhood programs significantly increases their chances of attending and doing well in school. The child care and educational centers also free older sisters from child care duties so they are able to attend school. 2 women from the community receive a month-long training which goes more deeply into early child care and education issues and methods. They create a rich play environment from materials freely available in the rural surroundings. Take good care of my grandchildren, Purnamaya tells the teacher. And so the process continues in this new village, woman to woman, group to group, village to village. This development worker is a member of a new cadre of women government officers who live and work at village level and whose specific function is to help integrate rural women into the mainstream of national development. Her role is critical in motivating and supporting communities. She talks of program opportunities which deal effectively with common problems, here describing the objectives of Entry Point. This program can be adapted for use in many different conditions, and along with other activities, it can form a base from which enduring development can begin. Community leaders are included in the decision-making process from the beginning. It is vital to include the men in discussing solutions. The fathers are a source of support when they too recognize the need for everyone to make changes. Before a training is provided, the community must arrange for a place to run the program, a latrine and a kitchen. Fathers contribute by helping with these preparations, which they are doing here under the guidance of the field workers. The community also contributes fuel, mats, food, and other supplies. The training here is being conducted by staff from Setoguras. Here a new group is introduced to the basic kit, which contains a drum, cooking utensils, a blanket, cleaning materials, and play materials. In addition to the basic kit, each group receives another set of toys designed to introduce specific concepts and develop different motor language and cognitive skills. At present, 9 different kits are available. A community is encouraged to organize several groups of between 5 and 7 mothers so that they can later exchange the teaching kits, exposing the children to a variety of toys and play materials. The curriculum is designed to help the mothers meet the children's health and nutrition needs, to establish early habits of hygiene, and stimulate their mental, physical, and social growth. Each child is given a pocket containing personal hygiene materials. Many of the diseases causing malnutrition, death, and sickness in children derive from the unhygienic environment. In rural areas, 95% of the people do not have a basic latrine. Therefore, in the hygiene component of the training, the construction and habitual use of the latrine is stressed. Role play and drama is used to reinforce the immunization messages, emphasizing the vital importance of all children receiving full immunization coverage. Here measles comes looking for a child to infect, but all the children in this village have been immunized, so he is disappointed. Other killer diseases are represented in a similar way. Here is polio. In the nutrition component, the mothers are directly trained in the basic elements of both nutrition and growth monitoring. Nutritious meals are prepared by using only locally grown food. Mothers are shown that by simply combining different grains and pulses into a flour, they can make more nutritious meals. This flour can easily be stored. Thus, mothers are provided greater knowledge of how to meet nutritional needs within available means. While the mothers are following their training, the fathers are learning how to make the toys their children will later use in the program. These toys are made out of locally available materials to assure future independence. The women are then trained in the use of these toys. This toy, for example, can be used for color matching, pre-number skills, and eye-hand coordination. This toy has a multiplicity of uses, including stacking, sequencing, size grading, and coordination. The mothers learn that a variety of games for teaching different skills and concepts can be played with each of these basic teaching tools. Here, the trainer goes through the day schedule with the mothers, discussing the importance of each of the activities. Another important aspect is preparing the field worker herself to fulfill her role. Here, the trainer goes through a nutrition monitoring form designed for use by the mothers themselves, with the woman worker who will supervise the group. Initially, the field worker has a vital role of mobilizing groups. Once the program is established, her continued support, supervision, and further training will be important for its long-term success. Following the training, the mothers look after the children on a rotational basis, establishing a schedule which meets their needs. The mother whose turn it is today welcomes the children into her care and receives the food and other supplies which the other mothers have brought. Cultural values are passed on through this traditional Nepalese greeting. Investments in the early years bring high returns in terms of children's overall development. The early years are critical in the formation of intelligence, personality, and social behavior. Early childhood programs affecting the nature and quality of children's environment have a direct relationship to the development of human potential and the quality of life. The conventional center-based preschool can only reach limited numbers of children because of costs. It has therefore been necessary to develop low-cost alternative strategies such as Entry Point, which are firmly based in the community and able to reach a great number of children. Early child care and education must be perceived initially as a parental responsibility and then as a community enterprise in the familiar environment of the children's neighborhood. One of the reasons for the success of Entry Point is that no further financial assistance is needed after the training to keep the program running. The trained mothers are able to do it themselves. This avoids the problem of future dependence on outside support. Entry Point is a simple yet realistic, multifaceted approach which reaches the community on various levels, supporting people who, for example, are then able to form their own credit groups and managing committees of other undertakings. What is most important is that the fundamental problems of poverty, children and their very survival, their health and their development are the very problems Entry Point first addresses. In the Bangalore Declaration, the SAARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, heads of state have recognized that meeting the needs of all children is an essential prerequisite for human resource development. Children, therefore, must be given the highest priority in national development planning, and this has been more recently reflected in the Program for the Fulfillment of the Basic Needs of the People, published by His Majesty's Government. The day is coming to an end. The mothers will come together again, strong in their support to each other and in the new hope they are offering their children. The strength of Entry Point is the empowerment of families, building their own abilities to support their children's survival and stimulate their optimal development. This